Hello guys, welcome back to Movie Reviews. Back in for series 15. Let's get through it. So the first film we'll talk about is The Batman from 2002, from last year. Matt Reeves' again, interpretation of Batman, really. And fair to say, it's brilliant. It's really good. For me, this sort of beef about Batman, I've seen a good portion of the films I have. You know, I've seen the original 66 film with Adam West and Burt Ward. Great, very fun movie, enjoyable romp. I think it's good. Then you come to the anthology, which is from 1989 to 1997. I'm not really keen. I'm not really a fan of the first one, really. Batman Returns is my favourite out of the anthology, out of that quadrilogy. Maybe because I grew up with it, because I had it on VHS at the time, really, more my parents did, really. So that's one that sticks in my heart very nicely. So I would say, if you say which Tim Burton film, Batman film is your favourite, it's Batman Returns. I always say Batman Returns, I do, then the first one. Batman Forever, it's alright, really. You know, along with 89, it's alright. Batman and Robin, I do have a soft spot for it, really, because I remember watching it as a kid as well. That's the other film, Batman film, I've seen as well as a kid, along with Batman Returns. So one Burton, one Schumacher. Yeah, so there we go. So it was a bit of an interesting experience getting the anthology on DVD many years ago, actually, from Asda, which I'm at the minute now, actually, in the car park. You know, watching the 89 film and Forever, for a bit of a different experience, really. I've seen the Christopher Nolan films, really good. I saw The Dark Knight when it came out in theatres back in 2008. Really good stuff, really. A very good, decent trilogy, rounded off nicely. I haven't seen the DC Universe stuff, which I'm not very keen on with Ben Affleck. I basically just feel like, really, you know, as good as it was up to that point, I just feel like, you know, it doesn't seem like, I didn't think Affleck was, when it was first announced, I felt like, oh, they're going for him. It's like, you know, yeah, he's good in good films, yeah, but as Batman, maybe Bruce Wayne, I don't know, and under Zack Snyder as well, it's like, that's you know, treading water, you're trading water on that one. Obviously, it didn't do well. Obviously, this was meant to be, Affleck was meant to be attached to it, of course, to direct it. Then obviously Reeves took over, and then Affleck went off. And then we've got Robert Pattinson, actually, which is an interesting choice, really, for Batman, because obviously we know him from Twilight, of course. But obviously, since then, he's done some pretty interesting films, like The Lighthouse, and also, what's the other film he was in? Oh, Something with Astronauts, I think he was. But he's done some interesting stuff as well. Same with Kristen Stewart, actually. They've done pretty out there stuff, they have. I mean, maybe not some good movies, but post the franchise, but Twilight franchise. But the experiment they have, of course. And obviously, same as Batman, looking at it now, it's like, you know, we have a younger Batman, sort of, I guess, say, like a year or two on from when he first became the vigilante, of course. And yeah, I think he does a really good job, really. Very sort of moody. Again, it's sort of tackling his Kurt Cobain, you know, personality for Bruce Wayne, being isolated, and also, again, very sort of like, you know, he has he's like a lonely, isolated rock star image that he gives Bruce Wayne in this film. It's pretty, it's an interesting change, it is. You've also got Andy Serkis as Alfred, which is a very good choice. Again, sticking to, British actors, of course. You know, obviously you had Michael Gough in the anthology, Michael Caine in the Nolan trilogy, Jeremy Irons in the DC universe and the Snyder movies, and also Andy Serkis now. So they still keep up with the British butlers, which is good. I think Jeremy Irons is, again, I haven't really seen much of it, but I think he's a good actor. Irons, yeah. You know, so I probably think, you know, again, that's probably a decent choice for casting as Alfred, of course. Andy Serkis, though, pretty good, actually. Not much to do, really, in that performance. But if they do a sequel, they probably may flesh Alfred out a bit more as well, because Andy Serkis is good. Very talented fellow, of course. You know, and rightfully so. Zoe Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz's daughter, as Catwoman. Selena Kyle, interesting choice, actually. Very Cat Burgerest, of course. And also she has the motive for her friend, you know, again, to do a friend, a flatmate, actually. I think going, again, disappearing or avenging the death, really. You know, I think a good sort of character arc, and also the relationship between Pattinson and Kravitz. Again, I enjoy, really. You got Jeffrey Wright as, I said Jeffrey Wright, then no, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. Again, a very interesting turn for well, I think it's Commissioner Lieutenant in this film. I'm trying to think now, but a really good casting choice. Again, we have like a coloured, or sort of like Gordon now, so that's pretty good. Again, you're devising it, make it different and everything else, and that's really good, fantastic. I think he gives something good, good he does. I mean, Gary Oldman is top, as Gordon, as James Gordon, really. Pat Hingle, I never really cared for Pat Hingle because he didn't do sod all really in those films. He appears up and does Expedition and everything else, but he doesn't really do much really in those films. In all the 4 films from 89 to 97, it never did really. But Gary Oldman give a really good actually. And I think and I don't know if he's in. I don't know if Gordon's in bloody DC Universe. I never really checked really. Again, I don't really care for those films really. Apart from Jeremy Irons really, maybe to some extent. But again, he's sort of second top, really. So yeah, and also you got Adam Dano, Paul Dano. What is that? Again, names mixed up. I think I'm, Paul Dano as the Riddler, based on the Zodiac Killer, of course, and using like social media for followers and stuff, causing terrorism, murders. He's, most of the time you don't see him. His actual face, you see him briefly when he gets arrested. When he gets arrested, he's in Arkham Asylum, obviously. But a good portion of the time, he's hidden through through video footage, but also like in the first scene when he's taking his first kill, using a crowbar, and sneak him on someone discreetly, really. But I think he's good. Paul Dano's a good actor, really good. Because I talked about him before in Love and Mercy. I did in the previous special, in one of the recent specials I did. As the Brian Wilson in the 1960s. He's a very good actor, really good stuff, has some interesting roles he has, Check out, the GQ iconic characters stuff, because there's a video of him discussing his process and his, and that's sort of how they came to be and how he approaches them and that type of thing, really. But really good stuff. Any other people to really mention as well? Oh, Colin Farrell. As the Penguin. Yes, that's a very interesting, because people thought he was like people think it's like Robert De Niro or something, like some Robert Duvall lookalike. No, it's Colin Farrell. Underneath a lot of prosthetics, you wouldn't notice and say, "Oh, that's Colin Farrell." You what? Underneath the prosthetics, he's the Penguin, and that accent, yeah, holy shit, he's good as well actually. I mean, he's that sort of like mobster gangster type of vibe really, but it's really it does a good job actually. A lot of the stuff really of Matt Reeves' direction is pretty good. All good stuff, action stuff, good, action scenes, very interesting shots as well that he takes, and again, really good stuff, really good film, because he obviously did all the prequel to Planet of the Apes. He did. I think that's what he's most famous for. Really, he's done other bits and pieces as well, but Planet of the Apes is sort of like he was so well known for beforehand, really, and to me, really, and. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Michael Giacchino, who's done various different scores because over the years. He did Rogue One. I think he did recently Love and Thunder as well, for Love and Thunder. And I think he does an interesting take on it. Very sort of has that sort of classic approach. It's not as memorable as like Hans Zimmer really, or like Danny Elfman or Eric Goldenthal really. But it suits the film nice for its tone and its direction and the way how it's progressed really. Pretty good stuff. And a really interesting a take on it really. The Batmobile is interesting because it's like it sort of harkens back to the to the 60s TV show very much. Like it is a car, but it's heavily modified as well. In this case, like it's like some interesting classic muscle car, but it's got like a jet engine on the back of it, like a high power jet engine, and it's like, geez, when I first saw the teaser trailer for that, when they announced it, doing the DC thing, the live stream during COVID, it was like, shit, whoa, it's like, oh my god, is that what it is? And yeah. I think it's really good. Also the design as well. Like for Batman, for Pattinson's Batman design, interesting because it's all armor and stuff like that. It's a bit similar to like what Christian Bale's Batman was, heavily armored, but also he has the bat symbol is based. I think it's based on it's the gun, the handgun that killed his parents, and obviously he's modified into the shape of a bat he has on his chest. Pretty good, you know. And also use a lot of gadgetry as well, and also the detective angle, which never been utilized. You know, it was utilized in the comics, but it was never translated to film as much until this interpretation. And that works, and people praise that actually, and you know, and people mention it, of course, when they review the film, obviously, and yeah, pretty good stuff. Again, it brings Batman to a more interesting direction and the right way to go. Really, this is more closer to the comics you can probably see. Really, you know, it's a very good, loving interpretation of it. You know, he's using gadgets, solving crimes and everything else, helping the police, of course, with Gordon, really. Even though most of Gotham City just reviled him as a fucking vigilante and everything else, and you know, want his head, really. And again, and just some really good shot scenes, really, of course. Some people sort of like were apprehensive because of the running time, really. Basically, I just basically enjoyed it. You just go through it. You feel like it's not long at all. You think it's like, you know, it's over 2.5 hours or something, really. It doesn't really feel like when you watch it, really. You just sort of go with the film and you just embrace it. Yeah, that's really what I can say about Batman. And everyone's talked about it. I'm late for the game, really, obviously. But yeah, I think it's a good Batman film. It's really, I'd say it's one of my favourites, really. I think it's one of those, really. You know, obviously, you know, everyone regards it high. I'm interested to see what they're going to do next with it, though. Actually, you know, in terms of the sequel, what Reeves, Parsons, and also could cook up, really. There was I mean, I think everyone knows about the deleted scene of the Joker, really, but I don't think he'll be introduced yet. They'll be trying to do someone else, really, first. I'm interested to see what villain they might tackle, actually, because obviously they've done the Riddler, which had never been used before as much, really, ever since Batman Forever, really, with Jim Carrey's performance, and also, you know, the 60s TV show and the film, obviously. But obviously, you know, there was some fan artwork, obviously, before Dark Knight Rises come out, of course, you know. I think it was called Dark Knight Rises, but they made some people made some fan arts of it, like some Photoshop arts, you know, of people like Catwoman, and I think Harley Quinn as well, I think, and also the Riddler, portrayed by David Tennant. So that was interesting. You feel like that'd be interesting potential, really, you know, having someone like, you know, Catwoman. I mean, because you had like Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow in the first one of the Nolan trilogy, then you had Two-Face and the Joker in the second one, and then you have this one like Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and the Riddler. That was interesting. Obviously, we end up getting Ra's al Ghul's daughter and Bane, which is good, you know. But that was interesting, you know. There's nothing else to say, really, but I really enjoyed it. I didn't watch in cinemas though. I got it when it first came on DVD, really, which is what I tend to do with new films these days. If I'm interested in a new film, it's like, you know, I don't really go to the cinema anymore, very much, really. I only been to the cinema twice about 2021 when I saw Quiet Place 2 and No Time to Die, and that's about it, really. I'm not sure if I'm probably seeing any more films. You know, there's a film that's piqued my interest, really, you know, at the minute, but I'll wait till it comes on DVD, really, you know, and see what my take is on it, really. So I wait to see, you know, and also they're coming out on DVD very quickly as well, actually, you know. They come out in cinemas, of course, and maybe 2 or 3 months later it's out on DVD. It's like, oh, you see on shops, they're like, oh, it's already out. It's like, Christ, that's quick. You know, they release it a bit more quickly these days, you know, they get in cinemas, whatnot, and boom, it's on physical media, you know, Blu-ray, DVD, you know, that sort of thing, really, and maybe streaming services here and there, you know. So yeah, The Batman, really good film. I would say it's one of my favourite Batman films, really. You know, it is. You know, along with like the Nolan trilogy, Batman Returns, you know, it's in that sort of level, it is. You know, it's in that sort of pantheon, it is. Nothing else to say. So let's move on to the next one. So the next film we talk about, which we're leading to, is X. So this is a film I saw when I first got the Batman movie from HMV on DVD. This was on the same shelf, I think next to it, actually, or like below it, I don't know. And I was intrigued by it because it's take place in 1979. It's do a group of a small film crew filming a porno in a farmyard in rural Texas, run by an elderly couple. And obviously, you know, it's a slasher and, you know, basically gets murdered, really. So I thought that'd be interesting to see, really. So I basically ended up getting it and watching it, and I was surprised by it. I was really surprised by it. The main selling point for me is Mia Goth, really, because she's doing like a double role. She is portraying Maxine, aspiring porn actress, really getting into the business, really, and basically wants to be a star, gets to be famous, that type of thing, and obviously doing pornos, like how you get into the movies, you just basically do a porno, you probably end up getting recognition from it, really. You get exposure for it, for doing something different, really, but you get exposure to be on the small silver screen, really, in some extent. And she does this double role. She obviously, again, plays Maxine, but also she plays the elderly woman Pearl as well. And the thing about this film really is because it focuses on the youth and everything else about it, but also focuses on the old, this sort of like this elderly couple as well, Howard and Pearl, as well. Like Pearl is basically trapped in a loveless marriage, really. Back in the day, really. Obviously, she again love life and that type of thing, but also obviously as time goes on, she's just again lonely, sort of trapped in this little bubble she is, really. And has and obviously when they start filming porn on a property, and it films on a husband's property as well, it's it basically ignites her, really. It sort of does. It triggers her, really, and obviously it brings out the desire. But also with Maxine as well, because she reminds she looks like her when she was younger, obviously. Sorry, my keys. And obviously sparks on her desire again, a bit more like a sexual manner as well, indeed, with her, really, unquieted love. Of course, obviously she's in a loveless marriage with Howard, really, at this point, in the sort of later stage of the in sort of the marriage, really, and she desires more, really. I mean, and obviously you have the scene, obviously, with RJ trying, leave, and he's had enough, really, because it's and now I'm trying to think who Jenna is it Octane? Octane, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm trying to think of her name again. Sorry. She plays Wednesday in that new Netflix show at the minute. Obviously, getting more wide exposure, really. Obviously, when she decides to want to be in the film, of course, it's deep into his heart. I'm not sure if it's his girlfriend or sister. I'm not too sure, really. She was the boom operator, but she ended up, want to be getting involved in the film. Actually watching as well, experiencing actually doing the production, of course. She, basically wants to be part of the film, of course. Obviously he decides to leave, of course. Obviously meets Pearl. She desires she basically wants to tries to make a move on him. Also, he refuses, and ends up slitting his throat with a knife, really, just because for the rejection, really, and obviously since then, the murder spree happens. Of course, I think Howard also finds out what's going on as well, and why his wife is behaving a bit strangely as well. Why than she usually is. And then he starts going about again. He sort of starts killing off the main crew members, of course. The main producer, sort of like Maxine's love interest as well. Really gets a He gets a nail in his foot first, then he ends up getting his eyes poked out with a pitchfork through the wall. Like he sees something in through the walls, and then he gets stabbed through the eyes with a pitchfork. Kid Cudi is as well as Jackson. He's like an ex-marine, but also turned into a porn actor, really. He sort of becomes like a bit of like an alpha male type leader type character, sort of, and helps Howard because he's obviously experienced in the military beforehand, of course. Served in Nam and and just basically sort of shows protection, really. I think and also he leads to a twist, of course, when he gets shot with a shotgun. If you haven't seen the film, he's played by Kid Cudi, actually. Interestingly, I feel like that name rings a bell, of course, and obviously if you're familiar with Kid Cudi, really. So yeah, you've also got Brittany Snow as well. It's a small cast, really, but it's a very effective horror movie, really good slasher as well. Because you see slashers as much, really. It's with poltergeist movies and also possession films. It's like, come on, I hate that stuff. I can't stand those films, really. Or Ouija boards and everything else, really. But we're starting to get to more interesting films at this point. Some films are. I mean, this film obviously sort of sets the benchmark again. Pretty good. I mean, it's a nice little homage to the '70s slasher films, of course. Very, again, very good directed. Tyler Bates to some interesting score, some good musical choices. Well, you got Mungo Jerry in the summertime there. Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult as well. And it ends with Robert Palmer's cover of Bad Case of Loving You at the end. It's like, so that's a good sign for the film. It's like, I remember watching it first time thinking, you know what, that's a good film that was. I had a good time watching it. Had a good experience watching it. So, yeah. And they've done a prequel as well called Pearl, which I haven't seen yet. And also they're doing, Ty West is planning a third one, focused on, I think, Maxine as well in the 1980s, of course. I think it's Max Triple X, something like that. I don't know what it's called, really. Something like that. I don't know. But it's a very effective horror movie. Really good stuff. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch. Good practical effects, small cast, but good acting as well. Really good stuff. Really brilliant stuff. The main things, of course, is keep off Mia Goth, who's Shia LaBeouf's wife. Really interestingly, I found that recently. I found he's with Shia LaBeouf. He's with Shia LaBeouf. That's interesting. And also Jenna Arcten. I can't pronounce her name. Sorry, Jenna. Obviously. So a role for her. Also, I think she's going to do bigger things now. Since then, with the Wednesday Netflix series, and also maybe some other stuff as well. She might be in a few big films since beforehand. I don't know. Also, you got Kid Cudi as well. Interestingly. But it's a really good, effective film. I really enjoyed it, of course. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch, really. Just maybe seek it out. If you're interested in a good slasher, this is definitely worth recommending. It's also got deeper stuff in it as well, of its themes and of its themes. Really good stuff. I haven't seen Pearl yet, so I'm not sure if I can get the whole picture really of it. Maybe I might seek it out. I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see, really. But X, really good. It's a good slasher, good horror film from 2022, worth checking out. And that's it, guys. That's the episode done. Thank you for watching. As always, see you for the next video. See you guys.